And we are live. Thank you guys for coming back. So, there were a couple of things I wanted to talk about on this episode of the podcast. A couple of things I wanted to touch on in this podcast. So, first, I wanted to talk about a situation with Jehovah's Witnesses, and then I wanted to go through some of my YouTube comments. Big fan of the YouTube comment thing. So a lot of you guys probably have heard that Jehovah's Witnesses are banned in Russia. This happened a while back. It's not new news to hear that they've been banned in Russia. No, being Jehovah's Witness is not banned necessarily. It's congregating as a Jehovah's Witness, possessing Jehovah's Witness literature, which they call extremist literature, and let's see, there are a couple of other things that are banned about it. Oh yeah, evangelizing as a Jehovah's Witness. That's the other thing. So I'm not sure if all of you are aware of my stance on this. I did do a video on it when the ban kind of came out forever ago. I do not think that this is the way to do it at all. I don't think it's a good way to go. It's like when people were burning down kingdom halls. You guys remember I put up this video about why that's harmful. That's not helping anybody. The society is going to start using this information or using this as a piece in their propaganda campaign. It's only helping the society. It's only helping the governing body members. It's only helping Jehovah's Witnesses every time something like this happens to them. Every time they're banned in a country, every time they're tortured by somebody, every time a kingdom hall is burned down, it helps them. It helps them convert more people over to their cause. And that bothers me a lot. I understand people are mad. I understand they're upset over how they've been treated. I know. I am upset over how I was treated by them. But this isn't the way to do it. You don't burn down kingdom halls. You don't torture them. That's not the best way to go. So I figured we'd just take a quick look at this. I was working on a video earlier today, actually, where I talk a little bit about the Russia ban and things like that. But, I just wanted to touch on it in the podcast anyway. So let's read this article, see what it has to say. This is the MoscowTimes.com. I know that Russia has state-run media, I'm pretty sure. I don't think that this is state-run media, the Moscow Times specifically. But it is a Russian source. So it says, a spokesperson for the Jehovah's Witnesses said Tuesday that investigators in the Siberian city of Surgut had stripped, suffocated, doused with water, and applied stun guns on at least 7 believers detained on extremism charges, days after criminal cases were reportedly initiated against 19 Jehovah's Witnesses following mass raids. They are extremists. They are. And they've been accused of being extremists by the Russian government. But one thing that we'd never see in America is we would never see a religious group prosecuted for their religious beliefs. I just cannot imagine that scenario. The U.S. loves their religious freedom too much. I can't imagine this happening in the U.S. Even against some Muslims, like in the mainland U.S. I know they did some shady stuff during the Iraq War in Guantanamo Bay and things like that you could consider on par with this. But on the mainland, U.S. citizens, I don't think you'd ever see things like this. Okay, so it says, the agents stripped the men naked, put a bag over each suspect's head, and wrapped it with tape. Agents then tied each suspect's hands behind his back, smashed his fingers, and beat him on his neck, feet, and kidney. Jared Lopez, a spokesman for Jehovah's Witnesses at their headquarters in New York, told the Moscow Times by email Tuesday. Lopez said members of the investigative committee in Surgut poured water over the men, shocked them with a stun gun in the anus area. It's kind of a strange place to stun them. Gradually increasing the strength of the shock. You know, I bet it's because it's kind of the center of their body, maybe. I don't know why they would shock them there. The victims were reportedly asked to disclose information about their meetings and leadership during the interrogation. A Surgut court placed 3 of the alleged victims of torture in custody pending trial for 2 months, with an estimated 250 local Jehovah's Witness members in the crosshairs of the authorities. European Association of Jehovah's Witnesses representative, oh my God, what a long title, Yaroslav Sivolsky, I guess, called the alleged tortures a desperate and unconscionable attempt by the Russian law enforcement to manufacture evidence of alleged criminal activities. Something else to make note of here about this. It says, the victims were reportedly asked to disclose information about their meetings and leadership during the interrogation. Here's my big issue with this. Torture is notoriously unreliable. Everybody knows that torture is unreliable. I mean, you know, they did not send these Jehovah's Witnesses through any kind of court system. They don't know what they do and don't know. They may not even have the information they were looking for. And what's going to happen if they didn't have that information? What's going to happen if these people are being tortured and they don't have what the Russian authorities want? They're going to make something up. That's what's going to happen. They're going to make it up. Whatever it takes to stop the pain. Whatever it takes to stop the torture. Now, there are some people who just have an iron will, who will go to hell and back and not say a word. But even the strongest, most iron-willed person will break under enough pressure. It will come to a point where they're going to say whatever it takes to end it, whether they know the information or not, whether it's correct information or not. Torture just is not reliable. It's not a reliable way to get information. And what do you have to do to your morals to be able to do something like that to somebody? How much do you have to dehumanize somebody to do something like that to them? I mean, you're not even looking at them as humans anymore, seriously. You're not even looking at them as animals. I see, you know, for example, some factory farming stuff, and it's horrific. It's so heartbreaking and sad to see what happens. I wouldn't do that to an animal. And they're doing this to people. It's not acceptable. It's not okay. It's not justifiable under any circumstances to do this to people. I don't know how these Russian authorities justified it to themselves, but it's not good. It's heartbreaking. So anyway, that's something that we need to be aware of, you know. Jehovah's Witnesses are being tortured. That's heartbreaking. And in addition to that, in addition to the fact that this could have been any one of us, you know, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, or even Mormons, could have been anybody, anybody who's from an extremist background. It could have been us, or it could have been one of our family members. We can't accept this kind of behavior. It's terrible. So anyway, something to think about. I figure now we will, like I said, I'm coming out with a video on this soon. So if you guys are seeing this on Thursday, it may already be out. Just take a look at that and give it a listen. It's hopefully going to be pretty interesting. Yeah, I figured we'd take a look at my YouTube comments. I've got just a ton of spam here. I'm probably, like I've said before, I don't even go in spam. I don't bother. YouTube picks it up, drops it in likely spam, and I forget that it exists. You can see here that I have 2,175 likely spam messages that I have not looked at. So I figured we'd kind of go through there in a second. I just want to glance through here real quick and see what people have said. This person says snitches get stitches. I don't know what that means or why they'd say that to me. Kind of confusing. I guess I'll take it. Whatever. Another person says, "This is America," in all caps. Thank you. I appreciate that. Not everybody is in America who watches this, but I'm glad to know you are. This next person says, I'm a bit surprised that the Jehovah's Witnesses don't have an elders room. Mormons have that. Yeah, I talked about this in the video, in the Kingdom Hall crashing video. They don't call it an elders room. They do have a room in which they talk. They just call it the second school or the library or the kitchen. That's where they do it. When I was studying to be a Jehovah's Witness, they would bring me into the second school and we would study there. Or the kitchen. They'd ask me these questions about my beliefs and things like that. That's where they hold all the disfellowshipping meetings and everything. They don't really have an elders room. And that's why I found it strange in this Kingdom Hall crashing video. These people were crashing a Kingdom Hall where they were basically ex-witnesses or just regular members of the public who go into a meeting and then they start yelling out things publicly during the meeting, interrupting it with, the child abuse is happening right under your noses. You guys need to do something about it, things like that. And I have my own opinions on that whole process, but at the end of the video, one of the people said, you have a list of names of abuse victims in the elders room. I've seen it. And I was like, there's no elders room. They have a library or a second school. It's the same room, and a kitchen. The elders room doesn't exist. I mean, I have helped build a bunch of Kingdom Halls. I've never seen an elders room. Maybe they had one at his Kingdom Hall and it was some unique case. I don't know. It was just weird. So the next person says, the more you attack Jehovah's Witnesses, the more they fall deeper and deeper into the brainwashing. I do get it that they're frustrated with these people, but you're just making it worse and worse. Don't hate, but understand that they don't realize what they're doing. Proud ex-witness. And that was on my video entitled, what was it called? It's my arsonist video where I left a message to the arsonist who was burning down Kingdom Halls. Yeah, I pretty well agree with what this person said. You're just locking them deeper into their position. It's not helping anybody. It's making things worse by doing that. It makes things worse when you abuse a Jehovah's Witness, when you torture Jehovah's Witnesses, when you go into their Kingdom Hall and start shouting things in their faces during the meetings, when you burn the Kingdom Halls down. That's not helping. That's making it worse. You are actively hurting the cause. So think about that. Think about how many people, I know it makes you feel better. I know that. I understand. But think about how many people are going to be trapped in it for how many more years because of your actions. You have to think about that stuff. So anyway, that stuff really gets to me. Let's take a look at spam, see what's in there. As someone raised without religion in Michigan, I can confirm that there are a ton of churches, but it's very lazy. You sometimes forget they exist, LOL. Yeah, I don't think that's spam. That doesn't really belong here. This person probably commented... This is a little glimpse into how YouTube works. This person probably commented something that was really spammy on some other video, some other channel, and it got marked as spam. So now their reputation kind of dropped a little bit in the YouTube AI. So now a whole bunch of stuff that they're saying is going to get marked as spam. But I'll help them out here and say approve this comment because it's not spam. Let's see. This seems like more of a... All right, so this was on my 5 religions which aren't cults video. This seems more like a these people seem cool list than anything else. No definitive comparison of statement of belief or reference to explicit texts or theological doctrines, orthodoxy. No clear definition of cult or religion, even in your own terms. I appreciate your positive experience and personal validation of the few religions you mentioned, but honestly expected more of a personal commentary. But honestly expects more than a personal commentary on a few pleasant experiences. This person is apparently upset that I came at it at which religions do I consider to be not cults or just religions. They seem to be a little bit unhappy about the fact that I came at it in less of a clinical scientific way or psychological way and more of a personal experience kind of way. And they're right. I should have come at it in more of a clinical psychological way, as I do with everything. And there are a couple of religions I listed which I no longer believe to be harmless. They are, there are some that are harmful, actively harmful, like Southern Baptist, for example, is harmful. I don't know. Maybe one of these days I'll come back and do that video again. We'll see. I'll approve that comment too. Let's see. Mr. Carla just put like a billion laughy emojis. I'm not really sure what to do with that. I'm just deleting it. Also, the division shouldn't be set up like that. It is either like this, 12 plus 4 equals 3, and my keyboard doesn't have a division button. Okay, I'm confused. I don't even know what they're saying. I'm sorry, person. I'm just going to delete it. Ex-Mormon here, give me a message. Probably not, but it doesn't seem like spam, so I guess I'll just approve. Interesting, ... thanks. Strange people. Okay, here's another good example of a spam message. This was sent to spam because it's got a link. Sometimes I'll click the link and see what it is. Metropolitan Seventh-day Adventist Church. Okay, I'm good. Just delete. Yeah, see, more links here. Oh, in another language. Somebody wrote something really long in another language. Let's Google Translate that. Okay, it said, apparently this person wrote, so the only one in the world is the only one in the world and in the world. Pavitra something something is a classic version of the something something something, especially in the South of the South. I don't think this is an accurate translation. Either that or they're just talking nonsense. I don't know. I'm just deleting it. Whatever. Deleting this link. I just pretty much always delete links. God is real, this person says. Thank you, person. That's okay. So he's a clear communicator and does not intend schisms or crusades or confusion and anxiety. Entrapment? Okay, I don't know what they're saying here, but it doesn't really seem like spam, so I'm accepting it. Really strange stuff. I don't know. Sometimes you come across the strangest stuff in spam. Let me go down a little bit more and see what else people are saying. I hear even Jesus is subscribed to Telltale's channel. It's what I heard. I assume that they're probably talking about Jesus Christ, like that guy, that YouTuber, Jesus Christ, who got a bunch of attention recently from PewDiePie and stuff. I don't think he is. I don't believe that he's subscribed to me. I can see who's subscribed to me on my back end. But it won't show me who's subscribed if that person doesn't have his subscriptions public. So he's not in my back end, but that may be because he has private like subscriptions or whatever. So who knows? That doesn't really seem like spam. I'll accept it. I thought I was the only one who noticed. It triggered the crap out of me. Wow, washing a single hat in the laundry. Talk about a waste of water. Yeah, that is kind of annoying. That's not spam either. I don't know. Sometimes YouTube just catches the strangest stuff as spam. A lot of you guys probably know that I went on vacation recently to Nebraska to meet my girlfriends there and spend Valentine's Day and stuff. It's pretty awesome, actually. We ended up going to this museum. I'm not really gonna, I guess I probably shouldn't talk about where this museum is or anything, but it had like these dinosaurs and stuff like that. Nebraska was underwater for a good portion of time, millions of years ago. There was just like a giant sea that ran straight through the U.S. And as a result of that, there are like a lot of fossils and stuff like that in that area. Thought it was pretty awesome. Kind of walked around Nebraska for a while, drove around, checked stuff out, went to this Air and Space Museum. It was pretty cool. Got to see all kinds of old planes and things like that. I actually was gone for like a week or something like that, released videos. I scheduled video releases for the first time, but yeah, now I'm trying to catch up. So that's why the podcast was not on Sunday. Normally it's on Sundays. This time it's on Wednesdays. But honestly, normally Wednesdays I'm trying to like make a video for Thursday, or at least work on the video for Thursday. I worked on it a little bit yesterday, working on it today. So I've just got a lot of work on my plate. I have for the past Actually, with the exception of the trip to Nebraska, I've had so much on my plate for the past couple of weeks. It's been a lot of work, but really I can't complain. I'm doing what I love. Chasen says, I've been around since you were around 5,000 subs, and I was wondering if you at all missed the potato mic and uncensored cussing. Yeah, I swore a lot in the beginning. And then I started censoring it, like putting in beeps because I found out that my niece was listening and she was like 14 or something at the time, and I didn't want to be swearing just, all willy-nilly around her because her family probably wouldn't like that. So I started at least beeping it, and eventually I just stopped swearing on it. It's kind of tacky to have the beeps a little bit. And I was just like, either I should just swear or I shouldn't swear, one or the other. So I decided just to not swear anymore. I don't miss that awful microphone, though. I still have that thing somewhere around here. It was so terrible. I don't really miss the swearing. I swear on the podcast a little bit. But anyway, yeah. Do you have questions for me, Potato?
Sure, I've got a couple.
Okay.
We've got from Bing Bang Lad. Have you ever watched George Carlin, and if so, did you enjoy his stuff?
Yes, George Carlin is really funny, and he's said some really profound stuff. He's also said some stuff with which I don't really agree entirely, but that's fine. You don't have to agree with everything that everybody ever says. But yeah, he's a really, really funny guy. It's a real shame that he died. But he had some interesting views on religion and politics and things like that, and the universe. Definitely worth a watch. If you guys haven't seen George Carlin talk about that stuff, you should go give it a listen. Really funny comedian. Anyway, got another question for me?
Sure. From Zach, what are your opinions if America banned freedom of religion?
I can't see that ever happening. It would never happen. But in this hypothetical scenario, let's say that they did. I would definitely stand against that. I would like to see America's religious laws reeled back a little bit. I don't think that everybody and their brother deserves tax-exempt status, for example. I would like to see religions fined for every human rights violation as defined by the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. That would probably go a long way toward, like, reeling in a lot of corruption in religion and things like that. But, I don't want to see it banned completely. I don't want to see thoughts policed. That's my biggest issue. I don't want to see anybody told what they can and can't believe. That's a bad road to go down, in my opinion. And like I said, Russia is kind of getting around that right now by saying, oh, you can be Jehovah's Witness, but if you congregate or evangelize, if you congregate or if you talk to anybody about it at all, or if you have any of their literature, then you'll go to jail for it. That's just the wrong way to go. That's just not the best thing for society, period. It's outright harmful to do something like that. So, yeah, okay, I'll take one more question, I think. Do you have one?
Sure. From Glenn, he's asking what you think about Bernie announcing, and if you're going to support Bernie.
Interesting question. I'm glad that... Damn, man. Kind of disappointing that I didn't get to this question in the beginning, because I could have talked about this, for the whole podcast. I love Bernie Sanders. I did in the very beginning, 4 years ago or whenever it was, when he first announced then. I remember at the time, nobody knew anything about who was running. I'm talking 2014, 2015 kind of thing, right? Trump hadn't announced. Nobody had announced. Hillary Clinton was just another person. They didn't have this whole she did all these terrible things bit going around the media. And so everybody kind of assumed she was going to run because she had run 4 years previously with Obama. And I was thinking to myself, I'm going to vote for Hillary. I just assumed that was kind of the default position for me because she was kind of the Democratic runner and all this other stuff. And her, like I said, her reputation hadn't been destroyed yet at that point. And then I heard Bernie Sanders announce. This is the very first time that I ever heard of the guy. Listened to his announcement speech. And from that moment, I called up Kate. Kate is her real name. I called her up and I was like, I know who we're voting for. It's Bernie Sanders. And she's like, oh, who the fuck is Bernie Sanders? So she looked up like his announcement speech and she was on board. And yeah, we were Bernie fans from that moment on. But in the end, I'm probably screwing myself over by talking about this. In the end, when Bernie lost, I was really unhappy about it. But I voted for Hillary in the general election. I didn't like it. I held my nose. I vomited for 2 hours afterward, but I did it. This whole Bernie or bust thing is not a great way to go. It is at least partially what got us Trump. Not a fan of Trump, honestly. Don't really like the guy. Think he's an idiot. I would love to see Bernie in the White House because he has a lot of really good ideas. He's worried about fixing our economy. I'd like to see, the military reduce spending and a lot of other things that he's talked about, universal health care and things like that. I'd love to see a lot of that stuff. But I don't know if he's going to win or not. He's got my vote almost certainly, unless somebody else more worthy of my vote comes up. Probably not. But yeah, he's probably got my vote. Well, now wait a minute. There was one more thing I wanted to talk about. What was it? Okay, I don't remember. Anyway, do you have one more question for me?
Sure. We got one more.
Okay.
From Sully here. Is whether or not you ever considered Quakers to be a cult or not.
I did a video on Quakers a while back, and the Quakers hit me with like a copyright strike and took the video down. I still have the video. I haven't re-uploaded it or anything. I don't know. I don't remember if I determined they were a cult or not at the time. I don't think I was really talking about... I wasn't really talking about the bite model at the time. So I don't know that I really called them a cult or not. I was just kind of addressing like the things they believe, the things they do, what their meetings are like, that kind of thing. It was pretty interesting. I mean, it's just an interesting thing in general, talking about certain religions and things like that. I don't think they're a cult, really. They're pretty moderate, generally. Most branches of it are really moderate and chill. In fact, I see a lot of Quakers at atheist conventions wearing free thinker shirts and stuff. I've met a lot of Quakers, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, I don't think I'd call them a cult, probably. I'm sure there's some branch out there that is, but just the mainstream branch, probably not. First person is Cernini the Third. Hey, how's it going?
Quite well. How about you?
Not too bad. So, we haven't talked before, have we?
No, I don't believe we have.
What religion were you originally? Are you still religious?
I actually was never particularly religious.
How did you find yourself in this corner of YouTube? What was it that kind of drew you to this subject?
In all honesty, it was probably the fact that I was looking at... Well, first of all, I should probably explain. My family was not particularly religious, but my grandparents were religious. Like, my mother and father were,
okay.
But my grandparents were. And looking through Christianity and things of that nature, I thought about what is the opposite of this. So I eventually ended up with atheism, of course, or the lack of belief. And I started looking into it more and thought, well, there's no particular evidence, so might as well just look into it and see if I can find any evidence. And I ended up that's how I ended up there.
Right. Okay. So your grandparents were religious, you said, right?
Yes.
Did you kind of grow up going to church but didn't really believe it? Is that what it was? Or did you just not really go to church either?
I actually I never really went to church until I was 7 or 8, and that was the first time I went to church. So at that point, I wasn't like able to be quote unquote indoctrinated. I don't mean that to sound offensive. But
what was it that you said again? I missed it. I'm sorry.
I was past the age where like it was easy to indoctrinate me.
Right. Gotcha.
Because I had already like grown up believing.
Yeah, I don't consider that offensive. I mean, that's what people do, is they indoctrinate kids at a young age so that they get sucked in easily, and it's a lot harder to escape, right?
Yeah, actually, remembering back on it now, it was mostly just boring. Like, can I just get out of here?
Honestly, with me, it was boring too. Sitting there through the Jehovah's Witness meetings and stuff is just awful. Like, they didn't have any kind of program for kids or anything like that. Like, a lot of churches have programs for kids, like youth programs and stuff. Did your church have any of that?
The first church that I went to, yes. The second church, there's a bit of drama, which I can't explain if you want me to.
Yeah, let's hear it. I'm interested.
The I forget what it was called, but it was like the audio person for the church happened to be a homosexual.
Uh-oh.
So they kicked him out, they did all that stuff, and then he came back in, and there's a whole bunch of drama, and my grandparents didn't like it, of course, because they're very religious, and so they moved us to another church. Which I would like to preface by saying I don't particularly care about anybody's sexuality, but they did.
Right. Okay. So their issue wasn't really the drama that was coming up, but it was the fact that there was a gay person involved in handling the mics or whatever, right?
Yes.
That's a shame. I mean, yeah, I can understand where you're coming from with that, saying that your grandparents cared, but you don't really, because my mom is pretty serious about that kind of thing too. And I've never really cared about it myself. I kind of followed the rules with Jehovah's Witnesses and said it's not the way you should be living, blah, blah, blah. But eventually when I got out of it, I realized that was just BS and that people are who they are,
Yeah, it's not something you could change.
Right. It's kind of set in stone by a certain age, from my understanding. I don't know, like, I've read some science on it, and of course, everybody should be doing their own research on this, but from what I can tell, by the age of 2 or 3, it's kind of set in stone from there. You're not born gay or straight or anything, but by that age, it's set in stone and it's not changeable. It's kind of a mix of nature versus nurture,
The only thing that I have found from my personal research is, I'm sure you might have heard about this, but the more children that a person has, with each successive child, it is more likely for them to be a homosexual.
Yeah. I've heard that each male that's born is going to make it more likely that the next male is going to be gay. I thought that was really interesting, too, because of, I think, antigens that are released or something by the mother, because it views it as a foreign body or something like that. I don't remember now, but yeah, it's really fascinating.
That's basically what I remember.
Yeah. But anyway, that's kind of interesting because I'm straight, but I'm the 4th child, the 3rd boy in my family. So chances are I was going to be gay. I turned out straight after all. Kind of interesting. Do you not feel like you had like an extreme religious childhood, or
the extent of the religion that I had was looking forward to the donuts on the ride to the
Oh damn, you got donuts on the way?
Yeah, it was
I'm
amazing.
so jealous.
That was the only reason I went.
Jehovah's Witnesses are big donut eaters. I remember, like, after knocking on doors for a few hours every Saturday, we'd always go to Tim Hortons or Dunkin' Donuts or something and get donuts,
I'm sure you've. Is it okay if I ask you a question, Rob?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
I'm sure you've mentioned this or answered this question before, but what would you say to do if someone were to come to your door, say Jehovah's Witness or whatever it might be? What would you say to do in that situation?
I would say, if you're not prepared to attempt to deprogram them or to do like street epistemology or something, then just tell them to put you on the do not call list. That's probably really the best way, because they have this list where it's supposed to keep them from bothering people in the neighborhood. So you can just ask them to put you on the do not call list. They'll mark your house out on their little territory map, and they won't come back for. I think they come back like once every 10 years or something, once every 5 to 10 years, just to see if you still live there. But yeah, they won't really bother you after that.
Yeah, the reason I asked is because I just recently moved, and for the first time in my life, a Jehovah's Witness came up to my door, and I was just like flabbergasted.
Yeah. I have not seen them. I've been waiting for them to come to my house because I was going to try to deprogram them, like I was going to talk to them about Jehovah and see if we could just work that belief right out of them. But yeah, They actually came to my door recently, and I was asleep because it was like 9 a.m. on a Saturday, and they left a damn tract in my door. I was so disappointed that I missed them, but oh well. What can you do, right?
I honestly want to. I honestly want to get a tract.
Yeah. It's funny. So what did you say to them when they came? Do you remember?
If I remember correctly, I was just like silent while they were talking, and
Yeah.
then I suddenly realized, oh, these are Jehovah's Witnesses or whatever they happen,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't really ask. But I said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm a bit busy right now. Could you
No, yeah. Yeah.
be on your way?
The classic the what is it? The classic I'm busy right now line. Yeah,
Basically, yeah.
yeah, we heard that a lot. We also heard not interested, slam. That was pretty common. Street epistemology is my preferred method of talking to religious people, and it's really complicated sometimes to get it right. In fact, I fuck it up sometimes, but it's a really good way to go. It's a good way to get people to see things logically. So I actually have a couple of videos on my channel about it. If anybody listening wants to check those out, they're called "How to Deprogram a Religious Extremist," parts 1 and 2. But anyway, yeah, appreciate you coming on and talking to me. It's been super interesting. But yeah, maybe I'll talk to you again one of these days. Okay.
First, before you mute me, I'd like to say thank you for all you've done and helping this quote unquote fight.
Well, I appreciate your support in the fight. We'll make it. But yeah, thank you again. Yeah, it's not easy dealing with some of this. I've mentioned this a few times, but there are some kids that I've been talking to, like, 16, 17, 18, who are just getting kicked out of their house right now. As we speak, they're going through the stuff that I went through 10 years ago. And it's just so sad to watch it happen all over again. Just starting from the beginning and going through everything that I went through. It's just so goddamn fucking sad. I can't stand it. But anyway, we'll make it through. We'll make it through. But yeah, the next person I have on the list is Cloudren. Give me a second, though. I gotta find your name. Okay, found it. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Not bad. Now correct me if I'm wrong here. I feel like I've talked to you once before. Is that true?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes. Oh, killed it. How long ago? It's been like a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a long time. I think it was the beginning of last May.
Jeez, a year almost. That's nuts. Well, I'm glad you're back.
Yeah.
So, refresh my memory, because like I said, it's been a while, and the audience probably
Yeah,
doesn't
it has.
remember either. So, were you religious originally? Are you still?
Yep. I grew up as a Mormon in Utah.
Okay, wow. Are you still Mormon?
Not anymore, no.
Okay, interesting. What was the thing that kind of got you to start questioning and leave?
Well, my foster brother came out as gay,
Mm,
and I didn't really know how to handle that, so I just kind of skirted around the issue for a long time until I really started to investigate it more.
okay, so it was kind of their stance on homosexuality that got you, that kind of made you question it and eventually find your way out. Is that what it was?
Well, yeah, because they're like, we're supposed to love everybody, and this is so great, but we hate these people.
Right. So what is their attitude toward the homosexual community? Like, do they put on this thin veil of we love everybody, including gay people, or are they just like, no, that's wrong?
Yeah, no, they do the veil thing and the fake smiles.
Yeah.
Their favorite line is love the sinner, hate the sin.
Yep. Yep. Jehovah's Witnesses say the same thing. It's
Yeah.
a really elaborate ruse almost, right? So do you remember, I think it's recently, like how long ago did you leave the Mormon church? been a while?
About 3, almost 4 years now.
Okay. Did you hear about their whole trans thing? Like the whole change about trans people and everything? Pretty recent.
I vaguely remember something about that, but they're not as much on my radar anymore.
Right. So I I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that they're saying that everybody has an immortal soul before you're born and after you die. And your gender is part of that. So your soul is either male or female, and you know, so they're basically saying that trans people don't exist for all intents and purposes. That was my understanding of it. Which
Yes, I do remember that.
yeah, I thought that was a really interesting assessment by the Mormon Church. That their scientists are hard at work trying to figure this gender problem out, it seems like.
Yeah. So I remember something I learned in Sunday school. It's like your body is a glove and your soul is the hand, and for the body to move, the hand needs to be inside it, and it's
Right.
always a perfect fit.
Right. Ugh, God.
It's kind of a weird metaphor.
You've got to love this, don't you? I mean, just the craziest things that they come out with. Like, the only way you can come out with things like that, it seems like, is just to, like, believe ridiculous things in the first place. I mean, that's how it seems to me, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they have these really strange ideas. But honestly, when you think about it, are there strange ideas about Jesus and Joseph Smith and the Lamanites and the everybody else? Are they really any stranger than traditional Christianity, or do they just seem strange to us because we didn't grow up hearing that? Of course, you did grow up hearing that. But does any of that
I did.
Does any of it seem strange to you? Like, or does it seem mostly normal to hear some of that stuff about their beliefs on Native Americans and things like that?
Well, it's weird now because the science doesn't back up what they're saying.
Right.
And
But
I don't know.
originally you didn't really view it as strange, right?
Well, originally I didn't know the facts
Right.
either.
Right.
So,
Sure.
no, that's just what I grew up with my whole life.
Yeah, it's like with Jehovah's Witnesses. They have a lot of beliefs that I viewed as totally normal, but now see as strange. For example, I thought it was normal to think that demons could attach themselves to objects, physical objects, and that's why you aren't supposed to shop at yard sales, for example, because a demon could be attached to some object there or something, It's like really superstitious and really odd, and not really something that traditional Christianity goes with. Something that a lot of outsiders would
Not
view
really.
as strange, right? But I didn't.
Yeah.
It's just weird how our minds work to, like, if we grew up with something, it seems completely normal and straightforward to us for the longest time. But you feel like you kind of view stuff as really strange now, like some of their ideas and things like that?
Yeah, the majority of it.
I feel like I still kind of view a lot of the Jehovah's Witnesses ideas as normal, even though I know in my head that it's weird. I just, I grew up with that stuff, and it doesn't feel weird to me at face value,
Yeah.
But
It's-
anyway.
Like, if I was talking to a Mormon, I'd probably be able to pick right back up into the whole thing again.
Like, right into that mindset
All the
and
language
stuff.
and yep.
Yeah. That's another thing. Isn't it interesting how they have, like, almost their own language? Like, they have their own buzzwords and cliches and terms. Like, when I'm listening to a Mormon, I don't know, video or something where they're talking, I notice they say Heavenly Father a lot. And that's not something that Jehovah's Witnesses really do. They call him Jehovah, not Heavenly Father,
Yeah, it's basically the same thing, though, I think.
It is.
That's
But
true.
it's specific words that they use. It's specific language that they use that inspires specific feelings and ideas in people when it's said,
Yeah.
It's really fascinating stuff. But anyway, yeah, appreciate you coming on again. Glad that you came back.
Yeah.
Sorry it took a year to get on. It's been a busy year.
Yeah, no. No,
But
I only remember because we had a power outage the week before it came on. So,
oh, did you?
yeah, the whole campus.
Oh man. Oh, you're in college?
Yeah,
That's cool. You're not at BYU, are you?
no.
Okay, all right, okay.
Considered it, but got out of the religion
Okay,
before I went
dodged
there.
that bullet. Damn.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, that's awesome. Well, like I said, thank you for coming on again, and maybe we'll talk again, okay?
All right.
All right.
Have a good night.
You too. Mormonism is an interesting group, for sure. I do wonder, like, I don't know. It's a really fascinating case study to talk about things that I bet you could convince a kid of some really crazy things, like Mormons do, for example, and they'd grow up viewing that stuff as normal. It's fascinating to me how the human brain works like that. But anyway, okay, let's take our last guest, who is Shara S. Moss. Wait a minute, let me find. Oh, God, I'm bad at alphabetical order. Okay, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm not bad. So correct me if I'm wrong. I've had you on before too, haven't I?
Yes.
Oh, God, I nailed it. Okay. How long ago?
Months.
It's been a long time, right?
Yeah, I think about as long as the previous guest.
Right? Okay, probably like 10 months to a year, somewhere in there. Well, glad you're back on. Welcome back. But, you know, I'm going to have to clarify and remind myself and, of course, the audience. I hope that's okay. What religion were you originally? Are you still religious, or?
I was never under any religion. My
That's good.
mother got religion, or she had either me or my sister.
Okay, interesting. So she got out of religion before she had either of you, you said?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. What religion was it? Do you remember, or do you know?
Well, given the fact that we live in the Bible Belt, probably just Christianity or something like
Right,
that.
Southern Baptist or something, probably. You live in the Bible Belt, huh? I live there, too. It sucks, right?
Yeah.
It's like constantly people shoving religion down your throat.
All the time. I moved recently, and unfortunately, we missed the Jehovah's Witnesses that came here to see who moved because, like, we just found like 5 separate pamphlets in our door one day. I don't know why there were so many.
They're like desperate to get your attention.
Yeah, they've never come back.
Right? That's strange, man. Like I said earlier, there was they left a tract in my door one Saturday morning, but I've lived in this place for like 2 years, and that's the only one that I've ever seen. It's so strange.
Yeah, that's how it's for us.
I don't know if you guys know anything about like Lloyd Evans. He's like kind of a prominent Jehovah's Witness or prominent ex-Jehovah's Witness on YouTube. He's got around 40,000 subscribers, something like that. But he was he wrote this big book called The Reluctant Apostate. And in this book, he talks about Jehovah's Witnesses and their conversion rates. And apparently, it takes about 10,000 hours of door knocking to bring in a single person. And that adds up to, if you're just a standard, regular old run-of-the-mill Jehovah's Witness doing the regular amount of hours that Jehovah's Witnesses do every month, it means it's going to take you about 80 years of knocking on doors to bring in a single person. And that number is new. It wasn't always that low, but that's a good thing to me.
Yeah.
Every time they knock on my door, it's one less person who's going to be indoctrinated or suckered, you know? But yeah, so what was it that kind of got you interested in this corner of YouTube if you weren't really religious growing up?
You see, I do this fun thing where I just let my phone play YouTube videos for like hours, and then eventually your video just got recommended out of nowhere, and then I just kind of fell into YouTube atheism, and I've loved it.
Oh, that's really good to hear. I was actually, just out of curiosity, I was looking at some of my analytics on the back end, and usually YouTubers have, I don't know if I should be talking about these statistics or not. I'm just going to do it anyways. Usually YouTubers have like between 5 and 10% click rate. So every time somebody sees their YouTube channel, about 5 to 10% of people who see that that video that's suggested to them will click on it, and depending on how many people, or depending on how long those people continue to watch that video, YouTube will put it in front of more people. So the two factors that are involved are watch time and click rate. And I've been kind of looking at my watch time and click rate and things like that. My click rate's about 5-6% right now, which is kind of low, but I have a really high subscriber to view count. So like every 40 views that I get, one person subscribes. That's really, really good metrics for my kind of channel. But apparently I have I don't remember what, 123 million impressions. Like YouTube has put my channel in front of 123 million people or something like that. Only 5% click rate. So it was a bunch. And I thought that was really interesting how it all works. Like YouTube is really, really intricate and complicated, and the AIs that control which videos are suggested to who are really, really complex. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I could say I'm glad that it suggested me to you. Like, that's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Well, to be more specific, I was watching Thunderfoot's videos,
Okay.
Older ones before he was I guess before he transitioned to the
Yeah. I'm with you.
W stuff, when his videos were still good, in my opinion.
I agree.
And then you just came up. But the reason I wanted to talk with you, because the last 2 times we talked with each other, I was and still am going through my gender transition.
Right. And, I remember now. Yep.
Yeah. And a lot has changed in the year since we've talked.
Yeah.
So
tell me about it. What happened? How's it been going? Just to clarify, I'm trying to remember. You were in school and you had just switched schools. Is that right?
I had just recently switched schools.
And nobody knew that you were transitioning at the new school?
Yeah. And so now I have officially come out at the new school.
Okay.
And
Very
everything's been really great so far. I had this one issue where somebody claimed they beat me up in a bathroom, when yet I use a separate bathroom. Okay. So I don't know what they were trying to achieve there.
That's weird.
Yeah, they just all of a sudden everyone's just like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, why?" He's like, "Because I heard you got beat up in the bathroom." I was like, "I used separate ones."
That's bizarre. Why would they do that?
I have no idea, and I've never gotten any information of who sent that out. It was so strange. Just all of a sudden, this one guy claims that he beat me up in a bathroom.
Right.
With no.
I don't know. I guess they look at it as some kind of a virtuous thing. I don't know why anybody would see that as virtuous, but whatever.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
But on top of that, I went to a hospital that has a new special department in transgender stuff. And so now I am getting ready to start hormone replacement therapy.
Very nice. Okay.
There's only one thing blocking that, and my mother wishes me to save fertility, but that costs $300 every year. So now I have to get a job to pay for that by myself. And I got an interview with a place, and then they didn't call me back. And I called them, and they're like, "Okay, yeah, my supervisor isn't here, so I'll just call you back when he gets here." And that was days ago.
Right. That's a shame. That's kind of annoying that it's they're keep forming pitfalls in front of you almost, right?
I don't think it's because I'm trans. It's just I'm going to call again, and I'm going to keep on calling until they eventually tell me something.
Yeah.
My mom hires people, and she says that usually gets you hired because they just want you to shut up.
Right? Yeah. I have also interviewed people and things like that, and I know that the most persistent people are usually the ones you can rely on to be good workers, Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I can understand where she's coming from with that, saying you want to save fertility and things like that. Although personally, I don't know, I'd probably just throw it in a freezer and move on. No,
Well,
probably not how that works.
You see, that's actually what we're doing. Like, there's this expensive version where it's like it's everything, and they make sure that there is enough sperm there to be fertile.
Yeah.
But what we're doing is they literally just shove it in a freezer and move on. But that's like $300 a year.
Right. I guess that covers the power bill for them and stuff. $300 a year isn't that bad, I guess. What is that? That's somewhere around like $26 a month or something like that, I guess.
Yeah, but like it would suck severely if I did this, and then like my job just drops out of nowhere, or I move and I can't find a new job, and then they just get rid of the sperm, and my body stops producing it, so it's all gone from that point.
Yeah, that would be disappointing. How old are you, by the way? You don't have to say if you don't want to.
16.
Okay, all right. 16. It may seem difficult and scary right now, but I think that after 10 years or something of being in the workforce, it's a lot less intimidating. I worry about having money a lot less. Even when I don't have a job, I feel confident that I can come up with what I need to do what I need with it, you know? So, it seems probably pretty stressful and intimidating now, but I think as time goes on, you'll get a little bit more comfortable with it. But yeah, I think your mom is probably right about saving it like that. And I think that you agree with that too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want kids, but like I'm kind of still having an internal debate of kids or self-happiness. And it's a weird debate to have.
Yeah. We'll just give it time and play it by ear. 16, you got a lot of runway at 16 to let things play out in life, you know?
Yeah.
But hopefully things get a little bit better, especially since you came out to your school. It's probably a big stress off of your mind, right?
Yeah, like everything's just been chill from this point. Like the only real accommodation I have is that I use a separate locked bathroom.
Right.
But I mean, I wanted that because this is still in like the Bible Belt and not south, but close to it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to risk that. And if they're willing to even lie that they beat me up in a bathroom,
what would they do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I can definitely... I know where you're coming from with that. That is a little bit concerning, but... Yeah, that's not so bad. I mean, at least you got your own bathroom. I'm honestly surprised that they had that extra bathroom there like that for you to use.
Yeah, so that extra bathroom is a space for, like, kids with mental or physical issues.
Okay.
And so that's locked.
Okay.
And so I have to knock on the door, like, and then wait a solid minute before I go in, which is torture.
Right.
But,
oh, God. That must suck.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's all for my own safety, so...
Right. Sure. Yeah. I'm definitely on board. I mean, it sounds like things are moving in the right direction, so I'm glad to hear that. And I appreciate you coming on and talking to me. Who knows? Maybe we'll talk a fourth time. I think this is number 3, right?
Yes, this is indeed number 3.
Well, thank you for coming on again. I will talk to you again sometime, okay?
All right.
Yeah, it's really fascinating stuff. I remembered as soon as we started talking about trans stuff, I remembered who you were. I remembered the conversations. It's really, really good to hear that things are going well, reasonably well. I mean, as well as you can expect with a situation like that. Doesn't sound so bad, though. At least the school is working with you and accommodating and things like that. And at least it was just one asshole who was saying they beat you up. You know, it could have turned out a lot worse. But, yeah, appreciate you guys coming on and talking to me. And I will talk to you next week.